everyone. This is Karen for OHC. Welcome to Creating Space. And today we're going to talk about creating your life. And joining us from the US is Dylan Ewing, CEO of Plug Into Your Life. Hi, Dylan. Welcome to Creating
Hello.
Space.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, last time I saw you, you were in Tagaytay. You were in the Philippines. And now you're back in the US. So, how was your vacation here?
Yeah, so it was incredible. I love the Philippines and the people and the food, especially. Yeah.
Yeah, and think I really enjoyed the meditation, the guided meditation that you did for us when you were at the Isle of Ferns. I'd have to ask you, how did you end up on a spiritual path?
Well, I spent a lot of my life chasing to fill the hole inside. Like I pretty much took everything to the extreme. Like I was in the military. I chased money for a while. I had a successful business, and I started to self medicate. I drank a lot. There was just a lot in my life that I didn't know. There was this hole inside, and I just kept trying to fill it with all these external things until I ended up on a life support system, and I had a lung infection from some bad decisions I made. And in that experience, I had an out of body experience, and at that moment, I when I woke up, I realized that there's a lot more to life than the external, and that led me down a path of just seeking, just looking at different things, researching, watching YouTube videos, just getting curious in my life. And I ended up finding meditation, and it started to really change my life. So I just kept down that path. Eventually, getting trained by different masters in that field, and then that led me into energy work, and it just kept going and going. So
Hmm. Interesting. So, a near death experience, is that a near death experience when you talk about out of body experience?
yes, it was a near death experience. Yes.
Wow. So, you literally had to quote unquote die in order to wake up. I'm
Yeah,
not sure
well,
if I.
it started before that. In my journey to try to like stop bad habits and things like that. So, and I look at like awakenings like an onion. Like I feel like we are like an onion, and as you start peeling back the layers, I look at each layer like an awakening almost. Like um, I feel like the first awakening is really just getting curious. Like a lot of people have to hit a rock bottom in order to look up. But the truth is, I believe that you don't have to hit rock bottom. You can get curious now in your life, or and I feel like everyone kind of has that inner struggle, like that inner thing that says, you know what, I don't like my job, or I don't like my relationship, or I don't like some aspect of my life. And we get trapped in the illusion that we can't get out of it, that, we have to be fall in line with the rest of society, or it could be our upbringing or environment from our different countries or different religions. And we kind of like get trapped in this bubble thinking that we can't get on the outside of that. And I think that first nudge is really like the first awakening, really process. I don't know.
Yes, correct. And what is your life like now after your spiritual awakening?
Yeah, so um after many different uh layers of the onion coming off, um I look at my life like this. Like, so my whole life I've been going down this I started walking this path through like these giant weeds, right?
Yeah.
And as I kept walking that same path, and my brain and my body continue to follow the same routine and habits, I started to make a trail in the weeds. And eventually, over time, that trail turned into like a deep, uh, like dirt path. And as I started looking on the outside of that path, thinking, oh, I want to go over here. What I learned in habits and routines is that, they can take 21 days or 2 months or 3 months to start a new habit, right? And as I started to go off the path, my body and my mind want to go back on the trail. So what I've learned is that it's not something that happens overnight, like a lot of times people look at somebody spiritual or I don't know, like a religious leader or some type of millionaire or something like that, and they put these people on a pedestal. And what I noticed in my own life is that, it takes time to change into this new person. So right now in my life, I just what I learned is that I may not be like this spiritual guru that has everything figured out and I live my life in love and light. It's I catch myself now, like so let's say something happens to me or somebody does something to me and I react, you know. The initial reaction is usually my habit and routine that's ingrained from when I was a child and I've kind of adopted this identity of this reaction. But what's happening over my life right now is that I'm getting faster at not reacting the same way. And then so like let's say something happened yesterday and I react like with anger or judgment or something like that, even over myself or someone in my life, I will like I may not catch it right away, but maybe today or tomorrow or next week or sometimes a month later, I'll look back in that moment and I'll think, wait a minute, that wasn't out of love, you know. And then I realize like if I'm if I'm if I have a resentment towards somebody, it's like taking a poison pill and then expecting the other person to get hurt. So what I've learned in my life right now is that okay, I can be aware of a decision I made, and then I tell myself, okay, how would I react differently next time? And and then I get faster at that. And I think life is really just about choosing the person you want to be, and this is why I started Plug Into Your Life, because I believe that real transformation comes from the inside. Like, and the real awakening is really just becoming aware of your life and the person you want to be, and making choices to try your best to become that person that you are inside. So that's where I'm at right now in my life, is just okay, I see this guy I want to be. I'm not there yet, but I'm making every effort I can to consciously be aware of my actions and routines and habits to become that person I want to be. So that's a long story for where I'm at.
But yeah, I totally understand that. I've been listening to some of your FB lives on Plug Into Your Life, and you talk about quitting smoking.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, I kind of got addicted to stopping all addictions. um, what I notice is that my brain loves dopamine. It's like this chemical of pleasure, and alcoholics, addicts, you know, they get addicted to that chemical. And with smoking, for instance, I smoked for 12 years. I I was addicted to the habit and routine of doing it. I started doing it when I woke up, when I after I ate, when I was on break, when I did this, when I after I had sex, like it didn't matter what it was. Like I constantly was doing that habit. So to get out of a habit, I learned it's kind of the same thing I just described. I had to become so aware of the thing I don't want in my life. And for that was smoking. So, and then I looked at people that don't smoke. And then I'm like, okay, what I notice is that if I'm constantly around people that smoke, like if you sit in a barber shop or a hair cutting salon long enough, eventually you get a haircut, you know? So I had to remove myself from the environments that were conducive to smoking first, right? So that was like step one for me, was becoming aware of who I'm around that's smoking all the time. If I don't want to smoke, even though I would not have a pack of cigarettes, I would be around somebody smoking. And then the habit and routine would want to do that. So I'd say, hey, can I get a cigarette? So I had to remove myself from the environment that was conducive to smoking. And then I started paying attention to all the things about smoking I didn't like. Like, for instance, I didn't like the smell anymore. I didn't like the fact that my breath stunk and my clothes started stinking and my car smelled. And when you're around people that don't smoke, you're hyper aware of these smells and stuff. So I started to really despise everything about smoking. And it wasn't easy at first. I started to find other ways of replacing it. I probably spent 5 years attempting to quit smoking, and surprisingly, it was like one of the things I said I'm never going to quit, but it was probably one of the first things I ended up quitting. um, so that was my thing. I just said, hey, I really don't want to do this, and instead of saying I'm going to try to quit, I just made a decision to say, okay, I'm going to make a different decision than I made yesterday today. And that could be smoking less, or it could be throwing the pack away, or removing the people around my life that smoked and being around people that don't smoke, and just kind of changing my environment and being aware of what I don't want and striving towards what I do want. And the thing about change is, like, eventually you become the thing that you're trying to change if you work at it hard enough. I don't think there's any easy fix for that. Some people just quit cold turkey. My thing was, like, it took me a little bit of time to just become the person that doesn't smoke anymore. Yeah.
Yeah,
Long answers for you. Sorry.
it is good. Congratulations. You did it in 5 years.
Yeah.
Wow, were you discouraged midway? Like, didn't you ask, this is taking way too long and I'm making too many compromises? Because I understand some people that you smoke with eventually become your friends, or
Mm.
did you have to leave some friendship, for example, just to be able to not do that? Because I think the thing with change is, I think smoking, for example, is one change that you want to do for yourself. But you're talking about change of environment. You're talking about change of routine. Even you're talking
Mm.
about think of the things that you don't like about smoking. Yes,
Yeah.
it's one little change, quitting smoking, but you ended up changing other aspects of your life.
Hmm.
What made you stick to it?
Yeah, I think just being uncomfortable with myself, like, I just ended up not liking the person I became. And I used to blame everyone and everything in my life for my past. And until I realized one day that, like, I my life and my past was based on my decisions of putting people in my life, allowing things to happen to me, not saying no. Um, I was like wearing these different masks all the time based on people I was around, until one day I didn't even know who I was anymore. And my near death experience kind of made me really look at that and make a decision on, okay, like, if I'm not happy with myself or my life, even though on the outside my life looks so perfect, I try to tell people, like, well, who do you want to be? Like, I wanted to quit smoking, I wanted to quit drinking, I wanted to do all these different things, but the other side of the fence looks so far away. So I usually give up. And when I started studying the science behind habits and routines, it's just like the path I told you about. Like, when I tried to go off the path, the weeds hurt, like, the tall grass was hurting me, and my body wants to be comfortable because it's a survival machine. So to survive, it wants to stay comfortable. So it constantly wants to pull you back into the same path that you've been walking. And, I think that's what life's about, is just, I became uncomfortable with who I was. And instead of not taking steps in the other direction, I just started taking baby steps. And at first it was really hard. Like, I remember like I would beat myself up every night, like, gosh, why did I do that again? I don't want to do that. Why did I do it again? And it's just habits and routines. It's just a pattern that's ingrained into my brain. And if I spent 20 some years or 30 years building those habits and routines, I have to realize like it's not going to change overnight. It's going to take real work and real effort into um, making those changes. So that's where I got. I just didn't like myself anymore, and I just kind of like said, okay, this is the guy I want to be, and I'm gonna start taking steps into that direction. And it took me, I don't know, 7, 8 years to become the person I am now. So
Congratulations.
yeah,
And also, it's a message that I hear every time I look at your FB or Instagram, that you can create your life. That's the message I hear from Plug into Your Life. Can you tell us more about this, creating your life?
yeah. So like back in June, I kind of over the past couple years, I started asking. So in my near death experience, I learned that we always have these spiritual spirit guides, beings, angels, whatever somebody wants to call them around us. They told me that we have a contract with them that they'll never leave us. Is there a loud noise in the background?
No, no,
Okay,
no.
good. Somebody cutting grass or something. I can't hear.
No, we can hear it. We can hear it.
Okay. Yeah. And so I started asking for help. They said that the only stipulation in this lifetime is that if we want help, we have to ask. Otherwise, they allow us to have our free will. So I just started asking, okay, if I'm not, I didn't feel like my purpose was living the life I was in my business and with my ex. And I had the perfect life on the outside based on what society told me I should be living. And everyone told me like, oh, the problem is you, and you just need to make it work. And I don't know, I just didn't resonate with that. I just felt like I wasn't in the life that I wanted to be in. So real change for me started when I started working on myself, and I wasn't perfect. So I got a lot of judgment from people because I would say that I'm trying to live a spiritual life, yet I was making bad decisions. I was still doing things that weren't healthy. I was still angry at times or blowing up. And like I was getting all this judgment. But what people don't understand is that real change can take time, and that we're just human. So I had to allow myself to make mistakes first and not judge myself and be guilty or shameful over bad decisions that I still continued to make. And one day I just kept asking, like, look, whenever the right time is, let me know. And there was one day I was standing there in front of like all these employees, and I just got this inner gut feeling like it's time. And I literally just went home, I packed my car, and I just left my life. and like and I walked away from a very successful, beautiful life just because I knew it wasn't my truth. It wasn't my path that I wanted to be on. And I had to accept the fact that a lot of people were going to judge me and stuff. But I just wasn't happy. And there was a little bit of cowardness in there, because I didn't want to go through the work to make that life work. But I feel like that's just society telling us like we can't do what we want and we can't be happy with ourselves. So when I started on that path, I literally just walked away from everything, and it was the most freeing relief I've ever had in my life. Like I ended up I sold like all of my stuff since then. I'm literally down to like clothes, a bike, and some guns. and like and I just had to trust that the universe was gonna give me money and abundance. I just gave everything to my ex. I still had some things to survive, but I sold my sports cars. Like I just I just said, you know what? I'm gonna trust that everything is always given to me when I need it. And so on my show, when I talk about changing, um, I just want to empower people. So I've had a lot of people on my podcast about that, and I talk about what it was like, what happened, and what it's like now, kind of like this. And every story happens to be similar, where they ended up hitting this place in life where they were even sick, or they were in addiction, or they somebody died, or something in their life shattered, and all of a sudden they realized that that's not the life they want. And everyone just started taking steps in that direction. And the common theme, um, behind people that I've interviewed, happens to be meditation. And that's why I'm so passionate about meditation, because it literally means to become familiar with. And what I learned is that I spend all of my life focusing on everything outside of myself. My cell phone, I wake up and I'm looking at social media. I'm constantly reaffirming myself based on past. And in meditation, it's some people say, I can't meditate. You don't understand. I can't quiet my mind. Well, that means you're doing it right, because you've spent years being addicted to your thinking, right? And in meditation, it started out where I could make it like 1 minute, 1 minute of just quiet time in my brain. And then the next week, it was like 2 minutes or 3 minutes. And eventually, I built up this habit of staying present. And when you do that, I learned that you're taking all the energy from your thinking and thoughts and emotions. And now you're keeping your energy. You're calling that energy back, because you're staying present in the now, in the present moment. And when you can do that, I just want to encourage people to start down this meditation or mindfulness or whatever you want to call it. Um, because when you can do that properly, and you do it long enough, you'll start seeing results in your life. When you can detach from the emotions of your past. We think 50 to 70,000 thoughts a day. 90% of those thoughts are from yesterday, and 90% of those thoughts are negative thoughts, because our body wants to survive. So how do you get out of that pattern unless you stay present in the now? You're not in the past, you're not in the future, you're just now. And that's where I learned that gives you the power to heal yourself. That gives you the power to heal other people, to make real changes in your life. You're entering in the operating system at that point. And so when I talk about changing your life, I talk about, well, what are you uncomfortable with in your life, and what's the life that you want? Like, if you look at your life in 5 years, where do you see yourself? What if you could have a magic wand and just poof, you have the life of your dreams? Write that down, okay? And that's what I ended up doing. I just wrote down this life that I want, all the things that I want to do, and impact I want to make in the world. And then I just kept focusing on that. Instead of staying in the past, I started focusing on the life that I really want. And then I just watched as I kept meditating. I kept trying to stay in the love energy. My life magically just started falling in line with that future self that I wanted, and it became easier and easier to change. So, another long answer, but that's that's what I learned from
Yeah.
all of that.
Thank you for being so vulnerable and so honest with us. How may I ask how near are you to the life that you want?
Well, my life is magical now. I spent 2 months after I left my life sitting in my silent house by myself, meditating all the time. And I tried to stay in the emotions of abundance and things like that. And then when I started leaving my house, the coincidences and the serendipities and the just the things that started happening were really incredible. And so I want to say that I am living the life that I want, but the future of the life I'm creating does constantly change now. But I'm like standing right at the edge over the things that and the visions that I've seen of like helping all these kids. And um you know I want to I'm in the middle of writing a book, and I'm starting. So I'm like right at the edge of like being there. So that's exciting.
It is. It's exciting. Somebody commented, somebody saying that's so brave of you to just walk away from your previous life and just surrender and have faith that good things will come your way.
Hmm.
And I echo that. That was so brave and powerful. That was so a powerful move.
Oh yeah, and thank you. Yeah, and the funny part is when you start doing that stuff, be prepared for your life that you had to kind of get really messy. So, like, it sounds really empowering talking to you and people that are interested in this topic, but people from my past look at me and say, "Oh, what a jerk!" He just left. And like, so you just have to be prepared that when you start stepping into your purpose or your path or your desires, you'll never be able to say the right things or be the right person for anyone in life. So, what I learned is that I had to place like a I do this in the mornings, I'll just place like an energetic shield around my body and of love and light. And I block out negative energy from people. Like, we literally have this energetic field in science. It's like the polar, negative and positive field that goes around our bodies. And when you enter into someone else's field, you can literally feel or absorb or give away your or their energy. And this is all proven in science. It's not something I'm making up. So just be prepared. Like, it sounds courageous, but you also deal with the other side of that. So when you step into the light, the shadow is also there. So it's just something that I've been experiencing lately, where I'm getting a lot of pushback from people in my life that still see me as that old person. And I just want to encourage people to not let that kind of sway you, that when you change your energy, your environment's going to change. The people in your life are going to change. You're going to lose old friendships. You're going to meet new people in relationships. You're going to discover new jobs and new things. And when you change your energy, your life will match that energy. But in order to find that new life, the old life is going to sometimes get messy. And you're going to find yourself in this transition of becoming this new person. But sometimes it can be a little messy. And but I want to thank you guys for mentioning that. And it feels really good to just not care what people think anymore, and just, what, I'm gonna do me. And if you don't like me, that's on you. You know what I mean?
Wow. We
Yeah.
need that. We need
Yeah.
that attitude. That really, I don't care what you think. Because
Yeah.
especially here in the Philippines, we think so much about what other people think. It's actually part of our culture.
Yeah, I did kind of see a lot of that. Yeah. Hmm. It's interesting. And I think a lot of cultures have that persona, um, of having an image. I came across a lot of people that, you know, they had this image in front of everyone. Maybe they had like all these expensive clothes on or drove a nice car or something. They're trying to present this image, but really at their house, it's completely different story, or, and I think that's a culture in general. I think as we grow up as kids, um, we learn that you need a toy or a dollar to be happy, right? And then you kind of adopt these agreements in society that in order to be happy, you need to be accepted in school or your friends or your parents, and in order to be happy, you need something outside of yourself. And my message has lately has been, you can find that happiness, and when you do, all the things that you desire will just come to you. You don't need to do work for them. You can, when you become comfortable with yourself, which I found usually means being comfortable with being uncomfortable. Like, I used to be, I'll just tell you a little story. I used to be really scared of speaking in front of people.
Hmm.
I would turn like a tomato, and like sweat would just start pouring off my face, and like I would be so scared to like speak in front of like more than 5 people. And in order to break that fear, I had to start doing it. I had to get out of that and start sharing in front of people. And um in the military, they you jump out of a helicopter, and in order to do that, like, you're scared, and you don't want to do it, but then when you do it, you're like, oh my god, that was the best thing I ever did in my life. I just want to encourage people, like, let go of that fear of what people think about you, because at the end of the day, when you're laying on your deathbed, heaven forbid, spoiler alert, we're all gonna be on a deathbed someday. None of this is gonna matter. It's not gonna matter. Any of the problems that you're currently facing, anybody that you're worried about right now, you are the main actor in your own movie, right? And you have your own movie, right? I have my own movie. I'm the main actor. You're just an extra. Like, and you got to remember that everyone in your life, they're the main character in their own movie. They're not the main character in your movie. And at the end of the day, it's only going to matter, did you live your best life? Were you happy in your life? And did you try your best to make other people happy? And if you didn't, you're going to feel that. And I had, my other business was a cleaning company, and I live in a resort town where most of the people here are retired. They're over 65.
Mhm.
And I probably interviewed close to 2,000 people, and they would always have a same theme where they spent their whole life saving money to have more time, but they got it backwards, because now that they have more money, they're out of time. You know, just realize that the things that you're chasing in life don't matter at the end of the day. So if you could switch what you're focusing on to just being happy, and it's not about being selfish in like a negative way. It's be selfish, because when at the end of your life, no one in your life, like most old people, like in their 90s, everyone in their life is dead, from their past. So it's like, why are you focused so much on other people? Who cares? Like, love people, but set boundaries in your life, and I'm learning this lesson in my life right now. I'm setting all these different boundaries in my life and realizing that I don't need to say yes all the time. I don't need to care what you think, not in a condescending or negative way, but in a way where I'm protecting my own energy so that I can be more useful to other people. Right? I think that's, I can go on for hours about this stuff.
Yes, you can. So I can't really imagine you not freaking out when you're speaking because you do it so well now. But one of the things that you say talk about a lot of times now is about love. I don't. You mentioned it several times during this
Mm.
conversation. Why is that?
I found that love is the energy that heals. It's the energy that creates life. When I studied really deep into science behind all this stuff, my brain just couldn't get enough of trying to figure out why and how all this works. Um, and what I learned is that, proven in science, that love is a vibrational frequency, like kind of like a radio, or a Wi-Fi or something. It's like when you walk into a room and somebody's fighting. Now, when you walk in the room, they're not fighting at that moment, but you can feel that something's going on in the room, right? And I tell people that that's vibration of emotion. Now, hate, anger, discomfort, pain, um, resentment, negativity, that's a lower vibrating emotion. And when somebody carries that type of frustration or stress, which is also proven in science and medical fields, of when somebody is highly stressed all the time, they usually get sick, they develop cancer, they develop illnesses, they dis-ease, there's something physically happens to them. Now, laughing is also proven in science in the medical field, that if somebody just laughs once a day, you know so anyways, love and laughter and joy and thankfulness and gratitude, they have a higher vibrating frequency. And at the opposite end of that is pain, suffering, guilt, shame, all that stuff. So what I learned in my own discovery of myself is that when I catch my thoughts staying in this lower vibrating field of negativity too long, my day will affect. They always say like, "Oh, I woke up on the wrong side of the bed," or "I started my day off wrong and the whole day went wrong." And that's because you shifted your energy into a negative state and you didn't pull yourself out of that. So your whole day starts reflecting that negative energy. And so what I learned was that if I constantly shift my attention back to love, like if somebody hurts me, I don't look at them as like I used to get angry or resentful or had to fight back. But what I realized is that hurt people. And if I can look at them like I don't look at a cancer patient and say, "Oh, how dare they act that way," or what I look at them with compassion and love, and I say, "Oh my god, I have so much compassion for you. I know you're acting this way, but you're just sick." So when I look at people that are reactive in their life or wanting to hurt me or other people, or even myself sometimes when some type of negative anger or some type of emotion comes up, I now know that that's a trigger for me to say, "Well, I'm gonna pray for them. I'm gonna send them love and light because there must be something going on that's causing them to react in that way or some type of built-in habit or routine from their past." And 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 I was in this one retreat where he would have us focus on love, and I took all of my attention in this meditation off of my outside thinking of my past or the future or pain or anything, and I
Mhm.
just started focusing my attention on my heart. Now, they say where you place your attention is where you place your energy. So I started focusing my attention on my heart and love. And if you have a hard time doing that, think about the things you love in your life: a kitten, a puppy, a baby, a flower, a tree, a mountain, water, and then go deeper into that love. And what I do this in meditation sometimes, I'll focus on my heart and I'll just imagine the valves opening and closing. And I start tuning into that vibration of something I love. And when you do that good enough, what started happening to me was all of a sudden felt my heart started pounding bigger and deeper. And all of a sudden, like my blood started like vibrating. Like I started breathing deeper and paying attention to my breath. And my my body literally started like vibrating like I was connected to like a light socket, like electric, like I was electrocuted. And in that state, I was able to send this like healing energy to someone that was suffering. And when I did that, it sent a new pattern over this person's body of, instead of discomfort, pain, and disease, which is a pattern, I sent love and joy and peace and healing. And I've watched literally people heal right in front of my eyes from doing stuff like this. And I just started realizing that the energy of love, I think and that's what I learned in my near death experience, is that it's just love. We're here on this earth to learn new levels of love. And when you're in eternity of love, how do you experience anything else other than coming to a place where you don't remember who you really are, and you experience birth, death, pain, suffering? And it's our judgment over those things of thinking that death is real that makes it scary for us. But the truth is that you're an eternal being of light that lives forever. And you're here just to have an experience, I believe. That's what I learned, anyways. And so, yeah, that's another long answer. But I've just learned that love is the greatest vibration on the planet. And you can literally heal yourself, heal other people, manifest things. I've created, oh my God, I've manifested so many different things by tuning into gratitude and love in my life. So anyways, that's another long answer, but yeah, love is the greatest of these, which is straight out of the Bible.
Yes, yeah, so true. Dylan, thank you so much for your long answers. We really, really appreciate it. Like we're hanging on to your every word. And
Mm,
thank you for being brave. Because that that courage took you from your past life to the life where you are now and to a life where you're actually giving a lot of making a difference for all of us here in the world. And
mm.
we're grateful really for this conversation. You opened up a lot of possibilities for everyone. You're just a living testament. It's not that you're good at talking about it. But now, after that conversation, you're the embodiment of change. You're the embodiment of someone who chose to create his life. And thank you for being that for us. Now, for people who are listening in and who will be listening in, how will they connect with you?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, you can go to Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. You can search plug into your life. I can drop the links, but it's plug underscore into underscore your underscore life. So it's plug into your life with underscores in between the words. Also, Facebook and the website plug into your life as well is where you can book a session and things like that. So,
Do you have
yeah,
any upcoming programs or podcasts?
yeah, I'm right now. I'm working on a habit starter meditation. So if someone's struggling with starting into meditation or healing or anything like that, and you realize that you start for a week and then you give up, I'm having an app that's about to launch that will. I do guided meditations and stuff where I don't start out these long meditations. They're just really short, simple, where you can start down this path of starting a new habit of staying mindful in your life. So, yeah, I'll give that to you guys when it's out. So, thank you for that.
I actually experienced your meditation in Tagaytay, and you're able to take us on a journey. It was really very healing.
Mm,
So, yeah, so I would really recommend Dylan's meditation.
thank
Thank you
you.
so
Yeah.
much for being with us, Dylan. Any parting words for everybody listening, for people who would like to create their own lives as well?
Yeah, I would say just get curious. Start asking bigger questions in your life. If you're not happy, ask, how can I be happy? What can I do? Start Google searching what you want in your life and start taking steps to get there.
Thank you, thank you. And I feel it starts with really a decision because that's what made it. Well, that was the key for your change. You made
Mm.
one decision and you stick with it.
Make a
So thank you
decision.
so much, yeah, for being the model for us. You're not talking about it. You're actually the embodiment of
Mm.
changing your life, creating
Thank
your
you.
own reality.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Thank you
much,
for
Deb.
having me on. This has been great. You guys are awesome and keep doing your work.
And see you soon, everybody. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you. Follow Dylan, plug into your life, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
Thank you
Okay.
guys.
Okay, bye for now, everyone. Talk to you soon.